Stop in the auditor's office, they'll tell you for sure.
All right, we'll start our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Morning, everyone. First item on the agenda is agenda approval.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, you have one additional item that was handed out to you related to the Planning Commission membership for environmental services. We'll add.
I'll move to approve.
Instead, I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Any public input today? All right, hearing none, on to the consent agenda.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Tom moves.
Instead, I'll second.
Thank you, Ted. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, county employee recognition. Morning, Mike.
Good morning. For county employee recognition today in human resources, we have Ashley Woods, human resources specialist, began the full-time position on March 9th. In human services, Michelle Fisher, human services supervisor, began the full-time position on March 16th.
Welcome back home.
In property records, Maria Shepard, property records director, is recognized for 15 years of service on March 11th. And in the sheriff's department, Brandon Newhouse, investigator, began the full-time position on March 9th.
Thank you, Mike. Highway. Morning.
Good morning. Holy, this chair's really high. Few items today as we begin our construction season. The first one's to review and approve. It was a joint project that we let. There's 3 projects under it. It's SAP 029640001, SAP 029650004, and CP 029086024. It's located on our CSAH 40, our CSAH 50, and our CSAH 86. A new paving project. The low bidder was Central Specialties Incorporated out of Alexandria, Minnesota. And for all 3 projects, the bid was $3,116,611.10. This was under our estimate. We estimated about $3.5 million. So good prices, very good bids. We had about 9 bidders total, so glad to see that. It should be a really good project.
Have you used Central Specialties before?
Yeah, I believe the guys in the office said that they actually did 50 and that section of 40 the last time it was done, and they used them a few years ago before I started. And I've actually worked with them when I was with MnDOT too, and they're a good company to work with.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the low quote.
Second.
I'll second.
All right. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
All right. And that project, those 3 will be at the beginning of the summer, hopefully a late May start date and then completion mid to end July. The next one is, again, a review and approve a bid for CP 029116029, which is on County Road 116, just north of Park Rapids here. This will be for a mill and overlay on 116 as well as adjusting the castings. And this one came in, low bid was Northern Paving out of Bemidji, Minnesota for $154,119. A little higher than our estimate on this one. We had estimated about $130,000. But again, quite a few bidders on it, and they were all pretty tight bidding, so glad to see that.
Instead, I'll make a motion to accept the low quote from Northern Paving.
I'll second.
Any other discussion?
Just real quick, any reason why you think it might be higher than your estimates?
You know, I reviewed it after, and there were some items that we had estimated high and they came in low, and some that we did low and they were high. It was just kind of across the board. There wasn't really any rhyme or reason to what was happening. The one that usually controls is bituminous prices, and those, I was expecting very high to come in on these two bids, and they actually came in pretty reasonable still. We're uncertain right now of what's going on, and I think that'll reflect in some of the bid prices, but luckily they didn't very much on these ones, and I was happy with the bid.
Okay, thank you.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, and right on time, road restrictions. They are actually gonna be put on tomorrow, March 18th. So there's the resolution attached in here to approve, and I actually changed it this year. What I'd like to do for future years is just state in there that we will follow MnDOT's timeline for the north central road restrictions, versus me coming back every year having a new resolution. This one will just hold, and then what I'll do is I'll present new maps every year as we update the maps. And if there's no updates, I can just update online and through Facebook for the public. But the maps are included in here. Not very many major changes. 13, we increased to 10 ton after the paving last year. And then 1, we kind of kept consistent with the new top on it.
Well, I'll move to approve. It means spring is coming.
Yeah, I hope. One more shot of snow, I think.
Instead, I'll second.
All right, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
All right. And just brief update, we have 5 projects left to bid this year. We have one right now. It's our pavement marking with the district that we'll carry, and then there's 2 bridges. Straight River Township has a bridge, and we have a bridge on our CSAH 38 south of LaPorte, and then our CSAH 30 project. Both the bridge and CSAH 30 are waiting on environmental review. So those will come hopefully mid-April. Straight River, we're just finishing up the proposal, and then we'll get that out for bids, and that will go this year too. So that's all.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Natural resource. Morning.
Hi, morning. Quite a bit on this agenda today, so first it looks like review and approve an easement from Kenneth Grob. Technically it's Elvin Kenneth Grob, but he goes by Kenneth, or Ken. He's applied for a 33-foot easement across tax forfeited land to obtain legal access to his property in Lake George Township. It'd be the northeast quarter of the northwest quarter of section 33, township 143, range 34. The length of the easement is approximately 1,013.75 feet and consists of 0.77 acres. And it's an existing driveway off of a township road 454, Lake George Township. Just wants to have legal access to his property, so looking for approval. And the value would be $1,155 that he'd pay the county. Yeah, I've got approval from the engineer, the Environmental Services Department, and the Hubbard County Attorney. Survey looks good, so looking for approval from the board.
Do you know if this is also a snowmobile trail?
This one is not. No. So the one that goes north might be, but the one that goes down into his property isn't.
Okay.
Yeah, they keep the township road actually open, but the trail that cuts north does connect to a snowmobile trail.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second that. Any other discussion?
I just have one quick question, and this is hypothetical.
Uh-huh.
So by putting this easement through whoever the landowner is, then if they wish to sell,
Yep.
then the potential buyer, it's all set as far as if they need,
Yeah, it's non-exclusive, so it does carry over. Yep,
Yeah,
yep,
okay.
yep. So, yeah.
Any other questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
What's next? Okay, review, the next item is to review and approve a hand planting quote from Superior Forestry to plant 30,000 seedlings on 30 acres. This year we have a smaller amount of acres to plant. Next year is gonna be the larger acreage to plant, but, when, timber sites are cut, it usually takes at least 2 years to plant after getting site prepped, trenches and sprayed. So it's kind of on a 1 to 2 year cycle. But for this year, it'd be 30 acres with 30,000 seedlings of white pine. Usually we get a few quotes, but I'm guessing with the low amount of acres, we only had one send us a quote back at $89 per 1,000 trees, so $2,670 total. I guess I'd ask for an approval of the low and single quote, similar to previous years
They
also.
must have a lot of other jobs in the area to come up, because they wouldn't come up here just for
Yeah,
that.
yep, Superior Forestry, we've worked with them many times, and yeah, they've done a lot of jobs with other entities in this area too, so, yep. Yeah.
I'll move to approve.
This is Ted, I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
All right, thank you. The next item, so this is the site preparation item, or disc trenching, spraying. This is what happens before the year that we actually plant the sites. The part of this will be part of the blowdown that we've had up north. More of this will be on for next year too, but part of it's on this year. That'll be row trenched. 180.5 acres to be row trenched for tree planting, and 30 acres are to be treated with herbicide. Future Forests, like the last few years, are the only company that gives us quotes. There's not many companies that do this in the state. They're out of Askov, Minnesota, and the quote is $125 per acre, and the quote to broadcast spray is $99 per acre. And I believe these are the same quotes as the same exact numbers as last year. And then, like I said, these sites will be planted next year.
I was wondering about the blowdown areas, because I think he said he had 5,000 acres. Is that right?
Yeah, so a lot of that will be aspen. It'll come back to
Okay,
aspen.
so a lot of it is
But yeah, we're gonna try to replant whatever was pine back to pine.
Any places that can be converted to pine?
Yeah, yep, we're gonna try some of that too. So, yep. Yeah, we're always willing to try something new, add more jack pine, and, in 2010, 11, 12, a lot of our jack pine was taken out by budworm, so we're trying to bring a little bit of that back.
Does that spraying before significantly help?
Yes, yeah, yep. Otherwise, the aspen that we don't want, or the thistle that takes over, and a lot of these are light dependent species, these pines, and need as much freedom from competition as possible.
They love the sunshine.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But yeah, so the total for that,
Need a motion on that?
yeah.
I'll make a motion to accept the low and only quote.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
All right, thank you. Okay, next item is for our April timber auction, April 13th at 9 o'clock here in the boardroom. We have 11 tracks to be offered to the highest bidder. We focus more on pine and conifers at this auction, balsam, pine, spruce. Seems like that's kind of where the markets are right now. Aspen's kind of, it's fine, just that, it's not like last year at this time where people are really, the mills are really hurting for it. So, hopefully that gets back up to speed this summer, but we're focusing more on conifers at this auction and kind of working with the market, watching the market and seeing what they do and, offer what we believe is best at the time. So, still following our management plan and, the numbers we need to reach. So, yeah, we're looking at selling 11 tracks, and no conflicts with these, and landowners, we've, we send letters to all the adjoining landowners if there is any. Yeah, looks like, the base price will be $243,200, and, we'll see that bid up, I guess, and bring back the results to you guys in a month or so.
This Ted, I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign.
All right, thank you. Next item is just for your information. It's an updated concept map for Deep Lake Park. Not a whole lot has changed, just shows more of the campsites. There's going to be 26 campsites in the upper level. I believe that was raised quite a bit from previous. Trails are on there, but with the terrain out there, we'll just kind of have to work with the trail developer on what they believe would be the best routes. These are kind of just a place setter. But yeah, it just shows a little bit of updated campgrounds and restroom buildings and parking areas and picnic shelter area for the public to see, I guess. We'll keep moving along, and I'll keep updating you all as I get information. And the work out there, they've actually completed clearing the trees out that needed to be cleared out by March 31st. So it was good to see they got it done within a few days.
Wow.
And they utilized all the wood too, so pretty nice of them.
I was curious about one thing. Those camper cabins, is there any way they can be made waterfront? Or do they have to be where they're at?
So with the terrain, it's a little bit tough. And then there's rules where they have to be so close to a restroom. So we need to keep everything, if we're going to share the same restroom with the campground down there, we need to have everything within, 400 feet? Something like that, a restroom, shower house.
That's part of Deep Lake, because you got that part that comes over there. You look on the map and just wondering, it's pretty close anyway, but.
There would be setback requirements.
Yep.
They couldn't be closer than 150 feet.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And they do have to be within proximity of the proposed restroom area. This restroom, because these aren't going to be full hookups, these are going to be power only. Water and restroom will have to serve all of the camper cabins and the lower campground by Minnesota Department of Health standards. These camper cabins are also typically used by people who would like to park right in front of them. So having the parking right there and not hiking in, we will eventually have the remote sites around the lake for people who want a view. You can see they're potentially identified as these orange spots.
Just that I'd stayed at a camper cabin in Maine, in the Baxter State Park area. And before the parking was, we had to hike several hundred feet to get to the camper cabin, which was right next to the lake, which was really
Yeah,
nice.
it'd be beautiful. Yeah.
And they were in hot demand.
Yep.
I just
Yeah.
don't, I don't think there would be, you know how steep that hill is there.
Yeah, well, I'm not familiar with the elevation, so yeah, that would be another thing.
Well, it's where to move them closer to the lake would put them approximately where the amphitheater was. So it's at a slope like this. So by the time you get to the bottom, you're too close to the lake, and by the time you get back 150 feet, you're almost where they are.
Yeah, okay, yeah, because
And I would-
I asked the question without
Yep.
knowing anything about the
No,
elevation.
it's a valid question, and I appreciate that. It just,
Yep.
there's several reasons why they're drawn.
And they do have actually a really beautiful view up there, and I think they'll have a really, I think, yeah, it'll be a nice view anyways.
Because that is the parking area up there, right, where
Yeah, it's kind of right where the amphitheater was.
they are overlooking.
Yeah, it'll be a nice,
Okay.
So are they on, is it considered a bluff that they're on, or isn't it steep
That's what I
enough?
was gonna
Eric
ask.
is shaking his head.
so, yeah, and,
It's either a bluff
I think
or
they'll be
a
set
hill.
back from that bluff edge or whatever it is, but, yeah, yep. Yeah, we had to, with the roadway going in, that's one of the variances I had to get with the bluffs in there. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on.
So I'm assuming down where it says main campground, that wouldn't be RVs, that would be tents.
No, that's,
That'd be,
the limitation, is it 26 or 28 feet?
yeah, so it'd be, I can't remember right now, but it'd be more tents and pickup campers and,
Oops.
yeah, pop-up campers, yep.
The limitation is the length of the unit
Yeah.
Yep.
down below, because they're all back in,
Okay.
as opposed to up on top where we have wider, a little more space.
Yeah.
I think that if we go back to the conditions placed on the transfer of the property, I think it might be just under 30 feet down there.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
are you thinking that you're gonna have a host couple stay, or a host person stay, or because you guys are gonna be out there all the time, you're not gonna have a host? You know how state
yeah,
parks
I
have
would-
hosts?
I would think it'd be more, I don't know if you know, like Hungry Man or
Yeah,
Mantrap, something like that, where you don't really need a full-time, but eventually, maybe with more and more infrastructure, but be more like a day parks position, I would think,
Okay.
out there. And then maybe a drop box or something at the trailhead building for camping fees.
I think we just do it all electronic.
That would be nice.
I think so too.
is there internet all, I mean,
Yeah, we'll have to have something. There's no service, so. At the top, there would be good service, but once you get down there, it's pretty poor.
The city of Silver Bay, over on the North Shore, they own the campground, and they have self-check-in for their RVs.
Do they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
I mean, there's somebody coming each day to
Right.
check and make sure everyone's correct spot, but yeah, it's self-check-in.
Yep. Yeah, technology keeps getting better that way, it seems. Yeah.
I actually wasn't thinking hosts to do that, like, iTasker, they have hosts, but it's more like,
Sure.
maybe this one clean, but it's more just answering questions and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah.
This is just the latest iteration.
Yep.
With the intent of using this to develop the application for Phase 2 of park development. And that will be running through the park board before we bring it here and send the application in for that Phase 2 grant application,
Mhm.
which I think has to be done end of June.
Yeah, we were gonna try to bring it here May, I believe at a May board meeting. Yeah, but, things are always subject to change. There's so much terrain, so, with campsites, that trail might not be as perfect as it shows in the picture, but,
I'm guessing with the road and the picnic shelter going in, the next logical Phase 2 would be a trailhead building. And some portion of this campground and restroom facility.
yep.
See, but according to Department of Health, if we have this campground, we need to have a dump station.
Oh,
See, if they have full hookups, they don't need a dump station. But if they don't have full hookups, we need a dump station. So that means that if we're gonna bundle those two things together, we need one septic system, two septic system, three septic systems in order to bring that campground online.
Yep.
And the distance between these two is just too far that the recommendation was that that separate systems would be good. So, Stuart was trying to get an idea of whether he thinks that there's funds and what they think they're gonna be, what kind of projects they think they're gonna be funding. The other idea is to put some money into, trail planning. The archaeological study, we're also gonna be submitting an application for a grant for the archaeological study to finish, the balance of the development of the park. So there's a lot of things going on, and by the time we get the road and the parking area and the picnic shelter up, this will be a much more usable facility, probably by August,
Yep.
maybe even July.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll have to get the environmental worksheet completed and the CUP worked on, so. Yeah.
we should hold a board meeting out there.
Be able to broadcast. We should take a tour out there after
Yep.
after the road is done.
Yep. Yeah, and the road is closed off right now to the public, but if you guys wanna even check it out if you're interested, I don't think they're gonna start road construction for a couple weeks, but, yeah, the logging's done and they should be.
Bet that looks different.
Yeah, it doesn't look too bad, but it's definitely different.
Yeah, and when it's all done, and you'll go, okay, this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep,
Yeah.
yep. But that's all I got today.
All right.
Nice to
Thanks,
see you.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
thank you. The Parks Board meeting is March 30th, so,
7 o'clock.
yep. Yep, at 7 o'clock, yeah.
All right, environmental services. Morning, Eric.
Just have one item for the board this morning. And that is, on our Planning Commission Board of Adjustment, we have a vacancy in District 2 at present due to Larry Baumgartner giving his resignation notice at the end of January. And he has agreed to come back on the board to serve for a period until a more permanent party would be found to occupy that seat. So the request this morning would be to reappoint Larry to the term to which he was appointed in December, that would end at the end of 2029.
So I have two people under the age of 65, quite a bit younger, that are actually interested in serving on this board, and both of them have work conflicts the third Thursday of the month for the lot reviews. And so, in speaking with them, there's a possibility down the road that that might change. And so Larry said then he would be willing to serve in that time. So I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second. And I know, when I was on the planning commission, I actually had to use my vacation days to do the lot views on Thursdays, but as I told the people in the van, I felt like I was on vacation when I was doing it with you people, so
It was really interesting.
yeah. So it's good to see Larry back on there.
Yes, he does a good job, yeah. And he volunteered, I didn't even ask him. Yeah.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries.
Thank you. That's
Thanks,
all
Eric.
I've got.
Solid waste.
Good morning. All right, I got a couple agenda items this morning. The first item is related to the project management for our reuse and Greater Minnesota grant from the MPCA. We discussed this at the last board work session. So we're looking to begin engineering and design work for these projects. The reuse center would be revised to utilize the storage building at solid waste, and then also would involve, through the Greater Minnesota grant, the fabric building portion as well. Again, these projects have been budgeted for 2026, and we did receive, again, $758,000 in grant funding from the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency toward these projects. And then I just listed my, the project goals and timelines. We hope to get this RFP out for project management, get that in and started in April, move on to engineering, design, permitting in April and May, and then follow that with bidding for construction, and then start construction in July. And again, we have a completion date of June 30th to have these projects completed of 2027. So my recommendation is to approve moving forward with the planned projects and solicit quotes for professional services for the project management.
So one question, Josh, that I kind of thought of after the last work session was, okay, if we do this changes and stuff, and I'm seeing office space in the reuse building, is this going to entail more staffing?
So right now, it shouldn't. Right now, we have, in the summertime, we have 2 staff dedicated to the reuse needs through our part-time and seasonal work, and the other portions of the year, we fill in with our, staff when the rest of the transfer station slows down. So I don't envision it increasing what our current staffing levels are.
And same with bringing in organics, because that's just goes through the regular process anyhow, right?
Yep, we're already doing organics, so that's just gonna be instead of trying to fit it into our existing transfer station building or do it at a different location that's not undercover, that would provide us the cover to do that in a controlled environment and be a little bit easier with our permitting, so.
Anybody else with questions or concerns?
I just had one. So by putting these up, if you take away the employee costs, do you foresee that we will have to increase fees to run this at all?
So I think, just looking, it's kind of hard to put an exact number to it, but with our, roughly we're bringing in about $80,000 right now based on our volumes in savings through diversion. I'm estimating our staff costs are probably about $60,000 a year directly tied to the reuse center. And then, of course, we have operational costs and stuff on top of that. So I think it really evens out fairly close. I don't anticipate it impacting our ongoing budget needs into the future, but
So the
from
grant,
what we're already budgeting for and
the
using.
grant match is already budgeted for in this year's.
We did budget in 2026 for the entire project costs, so the match plus the additional costs that we were looking at, so.
So there shouldn't be an additional bump when we're budgeting for 2027.
We'll look for that.
I'll make a motion to approve. I had the same questions that you two guys asked about staffing and if the, it's not the levy, but our costs would increase to the residents and stuff, so thank you for your answers there. And I do think, I was kind of thinking the same line, if we're diverting stuff from the garbage, so now we're not paying tipping fees. I'm hoping, you always hope that that's gonna pay for itself, so.
Second?
I'll second.
Yeah, that's one of the big concerns we always have, Josh, because just because somebody dangles a carrot of grant money out there, you know, in the end, it could cost you a lot more.
Yep.
Yeah. Jeff, did you have any more concerns?
I didn't. As a matter of fact, Josh and I had conversations about this and went through the plan and went through the budget, and I'm confident that the answers that the questions you asked were important questions to ask, but that the answers have been resolved, and we shouldn't see any
Yeah.
additional. I mean, we're going to have increasing costs due to tipping fees and annual, you know, inflation relative to operation, but no big bumps as a result of doing this.
I'm certainly supportive of the infrastructure, because the reuse center has already outgrown what's there. I mean, sometimes you try and go in there, it's a zoo to get in and around through there or bring stuff in.
Just rerouting the traffic will make that better.
And people do like it. I mean, it's pretty popular. So.
Yeah, plus it does save a lot.
Mhm.
People are reusing, that's a good
Yep.
thing.
Yep. All right, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
All right, thank you. And hopefully we'll have the next step to bring back next month for our project management, so. The next item I have is to review and approve quotes for organics bags. So this is tied to our organics grant project that we're working on, and as part of our commercial rollout for our organics program. Part of that grant was providing for the bags that we're gonna be using to operate our program. So we're looking at starting our collection in early May for both Hubbard and Beltrami counties under that partnership, and looking to order 13, 23, and 33 gallon bags. Received 2 quotes for our bag purchase, and I'm recommending we go with quote number 1, which was from Nature Tech. And to get the best pricing, went off of pallet pricing. So the quantities per pallet, you know, on each of these companies varied a little bit. But considering the per bag cost, Nature Tech was the lowest per bag cost. So that's why I'd be recommending their quote at $20,871. And this bag purchase should last us, I'm assuming, through our rest of our grant period, and more than likely get us a couple years of our program, which will be nice to have that covered under grant costs, so.
I use these bags all the time, and I don't think you would have near the people doing it if they had to buy their own bags. I move to approve the Nature Tech quote.
This Ted, I'll second. It's, I was doing the math on that too. I mean, they're pretty close. I did like to see though that it's a Minnesota company, so.
Yeah, and that's actually the current company we're using too, so we have a good relationship established, so.
So since you use it, Char, do you find the 13-gallon bag is too big? I'm thinking of my own use, and I don't know if I could fill that thing
So
in 2 weeks.
my compost is like this tall, so 13 is that's the bag that you have out there right now, right?
The residents are using a 5-gallon size or a 3-gallon size, so this is for our commercial
This
program,
is for
so they're a little bit
commercial.
bigger.
Okay,
So
okay.
you do have smaller bags available?
Yeah, I just picked some up this morning.
Okay.
Yep, our new residential program we rolled out, them are all 6-gallon bags, so another size, but, you know, that seems to be a good fit for our family for per week, so.
When you think about it, you cut off broccoli, you cut off
Yeah.
cauliflower, you can put your paper towels in there, your coffee filters and
Napkins,
stuff.
towels, yeah.
We do more than 1 bag a week.
Okay. Sounds like something I need to start doing.
It is, you'd be surprised, the bulk of the garbage is food.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the state average is, 40% of your total waste is some type of organic related, and at least 20% of it is directly food waste, so.
And then your garbage doesn't smell, and so we don't have a bag of garbage a week.
Yeah.
And we got our own compost pile at home, right in the garden there, so. But yeah, like you say, between composting and recycling, there's not many bags of garbage left.
Nope.
Right, did we have a second?
We did.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
All right, thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Josh.
Josh. All right, administrative.
So the ask today is to set the date for the required public hearing. I'm suggesting Tuesday, April 21 at 9:30. And that is to establish the new 5-year capital plan. There've been a couple of updates to the capital project listing. One is that we got a preliminary approval from the Department of Transportation, notice of project selected for future funding for our new transit garage. So this is hard on the project now, and we know what our match would be, and we have preliminary designs. So we're moving along with that. We won't get a grant award until the funds are available at the state, which I'm assuming this is not something that's not gonna get done this year. If they do any bonding relative to roads and infrastructure, this transit grant will be funded. So you can see that this court's public safety addition, this remodel of old jail, those are all pending items, not assigned to a year. This new transit garage, the budgeted amount is 4.156 million. The grant award is 3.325 million, which is a owner share of $831,000, which this would be 2027 funds. So I would propose that we would plan for that over 27, 28. There'd be construction over a 2-year period to do that out of our existing capital dollars coming in. We wouldn't need to bond for that. We would have cash flow for that. If you look at the headers, so this is 26. With the projects we've got listed, we have an ending fund balance of 425. We carry that over. We put the grant funds in there in 27, and we have a small overrun here, but that's because I put all of the match in for this year and didn't carry any of the cost of the transit garage over into 28. So between 27 and 28, we can carry those projects that include Deep Lake Park development, which is very likely the maintenance building restoration and some of the additional planning that we have. I'm not guessing that we're going to be getting. I put $2.5 million for project development, and I correlated that with $2 million of Greater Minnesota Parks and Trails funding in 28. If that doesn't happen, that'll just get pushed down the road until we determine that. And that was just a placeholder on the $2.5 million worth of scope for phase 2, assuming a 80% grant and 20% match. That would be this, but we'll know that when we know that. There is also, because now when we're looking at 5 years, I'm not looking at 26, I'm looking at 27 through 31. We do have, and I believe Commissioner Kruger caught this when we looked at the deferred maintenance plan, we do have a few $1 million worth of air handlers and boilers over in the law enforcement center that we are going to have to replace. And I put them out in 2031. They could last a little longer than that, but I wanted to show that. That means that in 29 and 30, if we continue to put away the million, the 1.1 million, and we don't do any projects, we are close to paying cash for those projects. If we push it out to 2032, we could pay cash for them, which I think is the intention of socking away that amount of money for those projects. So the stuff we have listed on the project list seems to be relatively comprehensive. We have a few pieces moving back and forth related to public works. We are ticking off a whole bunch of the deferred maintenance from that 2022 inventory with the remodel in the government center and the law enforcement center, so that's good. This still allows us to do the elevator. I put in 27, but we're very likely going to do it at the end of 2026. And I've got the lower level break room in here, budgeted number in 26, but it might be 27. Parking is scheduled for 27. We already approved the hoist for the shop, and some of these other smaller items are still on the tab for this year. But the good news is putting that money away means we are able to do some of this deferred maintenance as it comes up, and still work with grant opportunities as they arise. That I have a. It's not a construction level plan, but I do have a plan detail that shows 4 double long bays, room for 8 buses, and then a wash bay that is also double long, so we would actually have room for 10 buses to sleep inside overnight. It puts offices, locker rooms, showers, have you been over to the Public Works building where Transit operates out of right now? It's not a great spot. And it's not a great spot to be close to the supervisor for that. This would move Jason out of the Human Services building into the Transit building, where he'd be directly able to supervise, and then still be close to Mike for support for the rest of that. The wash bay would also then be available for county cars and law enforcement cars, which would be convenient and nice. I sent the initial plans over to the city. We're very likely going to have to apply for variance application for setbacks to make this work. That is a tax forfeited parcel, so once we get preliminary path forward for the permitting and we get commitment of the funds, then I'll work with Corey to get that on a TFL sale coming up either this fall or next spring.
Where's that lot we're talking about over there?
It's the north one. It's where they got the laydown. It's the old water tower space. It's approximately 150 by 150 lot. So that's good. Jason's been working on that for the 2.5 years he's been here. First time it didn't rise to that level. Second time the application was submitted, it was selected for funding as soon as funds are available. It also includes the propane fueling station. I don't remember, late in 2025, we got notice of an award for new buses that are propane fueled, which is great, but we don't have a propane fueling station. So I knew this was coming on the heels of that, because they wouldn't give us propane buses if we didn't have a fueling station for it sometime down the road, so.
Why propane instead of natural gas?
I don't know that do they actually fuel vehicles with natural gas? I don't know if they do or not. I think propane is just a lot more portable than natural gas.
Yeah.
You hook up a little 20-pound cylinder and the bus can drive away.
We'd rather have a fueling station on and do a couple hundred pounds at a time, a couple hundred gallons at a time. So those are the changes in this from the last time you saw that, the addition of 2031 and these deferred maintenance mechanical items, and then the transit garage as now we have pretty solid numbers on that. I have had ICS take a look at that, and they said the numbers they believe are very workable for the size of project that we're looking at there. And I'm going to meet with ICS next week to talk about the process of getting a program manager on board to manage that project for us when we get. Then we won't have to hire an architect ourselves. They would work to provide that, or whoever we select for that project. But we've had really good luck with ICS on this current project. The difficulties we've had have not been their issues. And this is a project that I think we could deliver pretty quickly under that kind of an arrangement. So once I know more about what that would look like and we have grant funding, then we'll come back for approvals. But I think the next thing that you'll see, hopefully before the end of session, is a commitment of funds for this grant. But for the purpose of today, I'm just showing you how that affected what we have in our 5-year capital plan, reminding everyone that the 5-year capital plan carries us out to 2031 now.
Yeah.
And these issues related to what, if anything, we're gonna do with the old jail and that infill space. In my mind, ICS is gonna be here I think they're actually here today with Bobby, or next week with Bobby, walking through, and then we'll have those stakeholder meetings, and then we'll bring options back to the board. But I don't think there's anything we could possibly do until 2034. And the reason I say that is that's halfway through the debt issuance period for the $10 million that we issued for jail bond funds. And I wouldn't think there would be any way of refinancing or taking out additional bonds until we're halfway through that current commitment. If we took out another $15 million, it would be another million two in debt service, and we wouldn't want to double our debt service until we have an opportunity to pay some of that down. And then we wouldn't be doubling it, we'd be wrapping it into a single issue. So this is a big number up here, but that big number is off the edge of the page at this point.
There was some talk at the public safety meeting down in St. Paul of some of our neighboring counties, particularly to the south, looking maybe to explore a cooperative agreement with law enforcement and stuff for Wadena to build a new jail. It's not in the cards. Not gonna happen, so there might be some opportunities for there to open up some discussions with them. And potentially maybe even dispatch.
And one of the, as we were talking about the infill, one of the things is to work with courts to make sure they have space, to know that there's the potential for need for additional administrative space for law enforcement. It is very likely that the new space down for attorneys has room for 4 assistants and a county attorney, and then 4 support staff. Well, that's what we already have budgeted. We just haven't filled the 4th assistant county attorney spot, and we haven't filled the 4th assistant spot, right? But we will have all the desks in there. So if we ever get to the point where their caseload grows, and hopefully it doesn't for a while, they will be out of room as soon as they need to add 1 more FTE. So that's a challenge. Hopefully they're there for the next 5 or 7 years before we have to consider that. And then we'll have alternative intermediary things to do if we need to, but courts, court admin, law enforcement center, corrections, and attorney space would be what we would want to program into that if we did anything to change the footprint or the square foot that's with that. But I would say it would probably be sometime before the end of the year we would have recommendations from ICS on.
Cause that's the wild card with that old jail, it's almost
impossible.
anything.
It's almost impossible to do anything with it because of the construction type. You know, the solid concrete walls, you can't just go in and take them down and rebuild because they're structural, and the ideas are, can we spend a few $100,000s to make it work for corrections for a longer period of time? They are renewing on a year-by-year basis with us now and saying we're always looking for options. The only good news is there's not a lot of options for them in Park Rapids, but we do want to make them happy and keep them there. The second, so a few $100,000 makes that work. Well, we'd probably do that if it was going to be 10 years before we could do anything else with it, right? It's probably $3 to $5 million just to redo the mechanical systems, which doesn't ever make sense considering that doesn't give us any more usable square footage. So the third option is to demo that and infill with newer construction. And that'll be up to you to determine if you want to leave the 18 million as a placeholder or a few $100,000 is to get us by. That's probably always going to be a placeholder. It may or may never get programmed. It's likely far enough out that it's never going to get programmed by any of us. But we do have to plan for it, and we do have to make sure that if that is a need, that we are working towards that. I will mention that we had talked about possibly submitting this to Stauber's office for future things, but they were only taking applications for shovel-ready projects. I had a conversation with Mary. We didn't have a shovel-ready project we could apply for this year with that, and the county doesn't have a shovel-ready project either. The closest thing we have is this transit garage, but we've got funding for that. We wouldn't we wouldn't get funding for the gap on that. So this will be the 5-year plan that I would propose we would bring to the public hearing. And my proposal is that we would set that for Tuesday, April 21st at 9:30 a.m.
All right, so we need a motion to set the public hearing.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Any other concerns with the plan?
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
It is. It is. When you look at the inventory, and I'll update that, we've got $125 million worth of physical plant that we're responsible for. So we're doing very well because we're not behind the 8 ball on our deferred maintenance. And I often ask the question, if you had $1 million commercial property, how much money, and you were in a business, how much money would you set aside for capital improvements on an annual basis? And most people would say 5-10%. We are not setting that aside, and we are not bonding for that much. We're getting by much more cost effectively than that. It's just a matter of timing to keep it that way.
Yep. All right. Anything else, Jeff?
That is all I have, unless you have questions.
All right. Committee reports. Who wants to start?
I can start. So we had a HIP meeting, and we're looking at some policy changes for Hubbard County. We're just developing because other counties in the state of Minnesota are looking at different ways for flavored tobacco and the sale of them, so I'll keep you posted. We're just gathering information about what other counties have done at this point. The NACO call was basically about their website. They have, if you go to the NACO website, they have a resource library, which covers a whole bunch of things pertaining to what counties are dealing with, whether it's energy or data centers or water, things like that. And so they spent the hour call showing us how to navigate. There's a lot of information in there, so I encourage you, if you have questions, just basic questions, you can go in there and get information. Family Safety Network, we had a meeting yesterday. There's been a lot of turnover in the last year and a half. They have a new executive director, and just like the HRA, their finances needed to be updated to be accurate. Not that there was anything illegal, that just wasn't updated. All that's been done, and the executive director's been there for several months now, and yesterday when we had the meeting, it just felt like everything was finally flowing well, and we had updated financial reports, and actually the numbers are back up to where they were before for serving between the 3 counties for people that, for abuse and violence, so. And then the Prime West meeting, we didn't have financials this month, and we spent pretty much the bulk of the meeting talking about what's happening legislatively and what a disaster it's gonna be for the state to take back pharmacy and transportation. And an example is Prime West every month has to keep on top of everybody that requests transportation and turns a bill in to make sure that it's legitimate. And the concern basically is 2 things. One is that services will be discontinued in the rural because they won't understand the rural needs, nor will they seek out, if you can't find somebody in transportation out, Prime West gets on the phone locally. So they're concerned about that. But secondly, transportation is so easy to be fraudulent on. And then Steve Gottwell was also on talking about what's happening down at the state, and the concern there is with what Governor Walz proposed about the social service taking that back. And I don't know about the rest of you, but AMC has got a information session, I think it's next Tuesday. Yeah, that I signed up for, trying to understand what that means. I just don't understand why the state continually wants to make their organization larger and larger and take away decisions made locally.
Why would you centralize and make it larger when we had trouble detecting fraud at the state level in the first place? It wasn't, the local level, a lot of it was being reported, but it just wasn't being dealt with.
Well, and if you figure for Prime West, just that very short window, we had over $1 million just for the 24 counties in a year's time. Yeah, we just don't get it. We're all just baffled.
I guess history, I don't have a whole lot of confidence in the plan.
Yeah,
Sounds like both sides of the aisle are not too excited about it, plan, so.
yeah. But even, we're hoping, Steve said that he was lobbying down there now to delay transportation pharmacy takeover because it's not in the best interest of the people that we serve through Prime West, so we'll see what happens. That's all I have.
All right, the only other one I have was, outside of the comments you made there, and that, if you saw the news today, it looks like the state budget's looking a little better. So it
Yep.
went from a deficit, from a 300 million surplus to 1.3 now. So, I don't know how that magic is happening, but it's happening. So that bodes a little better for things. And then I just had Northwest Emergency Communication Board meeting, and nothing exciting there, just a standard meeting.
Oh, I'll interject one more thing, because Jim sends this out, so every Monday we get reports of the bills that are being introduced and trying to make it through committee. And so there's a lot out there, but very few are going anywhere.
Tom?
Well, I've been busy with a number of different things. Some meetings with the Kitchigami Library things, which was all going into forming our agenda for Thursday. We got the board meeting, so maybe after that I can give as much as possible some summaries of what's happening there at the next, our next board meeting. And then I also had the local advisory committee, that's the mental health board. They continuing more things on transportation. They would need better notification of closed days. You know, one suggestion they had is the vans, they have a TV screen in them, and they're not even using them. They could scroll across there a day they're going to be closed. Of course, you know, they also put it on the website, but a lot of them don't go to that, maybe because they don't have the internet. But anyways, need to work with them better on, because they're the ones who are primary users of the bus. And they brought up the dental again. I got a letter from Emily Utex, who's the one who chairs the consumers for this board. And she was saying that annual cleaning schedule, you know, it's at least 9 months in order to get a cleaning in waiting time for it. If you've got a filling, you gotta wait. You're looking at another wait time of up to 6 months for that. So I hope they get working on getting another dentist over there, because right next to that, she says that, you know, there's dentists available in Detroit or Bemidji, but they have no way to get there. Transportation.
That's
Yeah.
one reason they actually double book here, because a lot of no-shows result from last minute no transportation.
So this is a definite need for them, and I hope it can be addressed in the future here. They're kind of stuck where they're at.
And it's also a labor of love for the dentist from the standpoint that, you know, they could be making quite a bit more, and so they have to decide
Yeah.
if that's where they want to devote their career, or a portion of it.
Okay, and then, yesterday I had the Dance Sky Area Agency on Aging meeting up in Mahnomen. They had, well, for one thing, I'll be on the grants committee, subcommittee again, and we have a training session in June for learning how to do our scoring for how to divvy out the grants to the different providers, and then the grants committee will meet in August to to do that. But this is the first time that we're having some training on scoring, because every time and then we're gonna do some pre-scoring prior to going to that August 5th meeting, because sometimes you just all of a sudden get the information right there and you gotta go and score how to divvy up this money, and it's not an easy thing to do. I mean, sometimes you're almost guessing on it, but now maybe we have a better scoring system for it. Well, you've been involved with it, haven't you? Yeah, okay. And then they gave a 2025 year in review. It's quite a few different things. I don't know if I should go over too many, but you know, as far as the Dancing Sky, they had resource specialists had almost 13,000 calls statewide in 2025, and I think I mentioned previously that prior to the end of opening enrollment, they were swamped with calls, so many that waiting times were like an hour or more.
Wow.
Yeah, and probably 30% of them was because of UCare dropping out, and this is all for Medicare coverage. Well, I think that's about. I mean, if anybody wants to look at the summaries for it, I've got a copy of it right here. Maybe that's the best way to do it instead of me trying to go through all of it. Okay, that's all I got.
I had the Solid Waste Advisory Board meeting in Foston. Tonnage to the mixed solid waste was down about 4,000 pounds from year to year, which is good. But they contributed some of that to a stack test that we had failed. Couldn't find out why we had failed it and had to take the test again, of course, and that one passed at similar levels that have always been there. So why there was a spike at one time, they don't know if it was at the testing lab where they made the mistake, or if there was something in the garbage that at that one point made things spike. Recycling materials are basically down. Aluminum is up. What did they have that at? $2,360 a ton. And natural plastic, which is clear, that was also up. But basically everything else is down. Paper now we're getting like $1 a ton, which there was times in the past where, well, even at $1 a ton, though, it's not paying the price to load it up. But we can't keep storing it, you know, we gotta get rid of that. There was some discussion about if we couldn't, if the state was firm on their construction and demolition rules, how that was gonna play out. And we've talked about it before. Kind of right now, the only option is to take it to the landfill with everything else, but then that increases our tipping fees and the quantities and stuff like that. So we're hoping that there's gonna be some funding here so we can do our hub and spoke plan. Let's see, but like I say, with the mixed solid waste at the incinerator being down, the landfill was up about the same amount, because like I say, instead of because of the stack it being shut down, one of them being shut down, everything had to be diverted. Steam customers is pretty steady. We were thinking that one of the companies was going to be ramping things up because they told us they were, but that really didn't happen. But all in all, they were looking. We also talked about PFAS and how the incinerator eliminates 99.5% of them. They figured that the facility in Hennepin County might be saved because of that, because they don't have any other alternative right now for getting rid of PFAS. And that's basically what I had for the solid waste. Had the Mississippi River headwaters, one watershed, one plan. Let's see, appointment of officers, I was voted in as vice chair again. Let's see, we did complete last year we completed the 2022 grant that we had received. Finished spending all that. I think we ended up with like $17,000 that didn't get spent, so that got sent back to the state. The current plan, we're on the 2024 plan. We're gonna obviously probably end up asking for an extension on that, and I'm sure we'll be granted one. And, let's see, had a discussion on what we were spending it on and where it had been spent on. Let's see, went over the grant applications and the financial updates there, where we're at, which is good. Talked about some of the goals and milestones. And one of the guys there from Bowser did make the comment that even though these are 10-year plans, some of the things that we are trying to achieve just can't be achieved in 10 years. But they said they wanted to have it on there anyhow. Forest protection, there was an update there. We did update the work plan, and that will be coming before this board for approval, as with all the other counties that are involved in the Mississippi River Headwaters Watershed One Plan. Let's see, there was something else here. We went over some of it, changed some of the wording on our policy document. Most of it was, they had like fiscal years, and we eliminated those because it's the same plan. It's just that we've got different grants going on now and different reporting requirements and all that, so we kind of cleared up some of that. And then there was also discussion about some of the cost-sharing schedules. We added the word "up to" on just about everything, because it used to just say 75% of total project cost, but now some counties are only offering, like, say, 50% and want the landowner to pay the other 50%. Hubbard County isn't one of those, though, at this point. And like I say, we reviewed old projects that we had done and accomplished last year and prior years. And let's see, and I had the Hubbard County Township Association meeting last night. You guys missed a lot of fun. It was.
People there?
It was well-attended. Reno Wells, maybe you all kind of remember, this is going to be his last year.
Yep.
He did talk about a product for help binding road gravel and stuff, and I didn't get the name of it. And he said that he was going to be hanging around. Well, then when I stood up moments later because I was a county commissioner and they asked me to stand up and speak, Reno was gone, so I don't know. I was going to have to try to contact him and find out what the name of that product was that he was raving about.
Wasn't the stuff from the company in Detroit Lakes, was it?
I don't think so. But they did talk about, I guess they did have a re-election of officers, which two officers, Steve Altman isn't up for re-election this year, and Theora Goodrich isn't up for re-election this year, but Theora did mention that she wouldn't be running for township supervisor again. So she wouldn't be on that board anymore. Let's see, they did also did an update to their bylaws. A lot of it was pretty basic stuff. Nothing real controversial there. There was they talked about allowing clerks and treasurers for townships to be able to vote. There was some pushback there, so they changed it, so only elected officials, elected supervisors, I guess, because a lot of townships do have elected clerks and elected treasurers, but not all townships do. So they wanted to make sure that people who were voting were voted in by the residents. not an appointed member. And one thing that I spoke about was at the Mississippi River Headwaters One Shed, One Plan, Jeff from Bowser had commented about calcium chloride being bad for the lakes and rivers and stuff. And he was talking about the possibility of going to DuraBlend, and that the possibility is that the county and townships could get reimbursed for the difference if we went to that. Now, he said this is something that's just started, and I mentioned that to the Township Association last night. I said, I heard about it yesterday morning. I said, it's ground level. It might take a while to get this through, if it's even possible. But then they're going back to the Township Association meeting, a lot of people were talking about how they liked DuraBlend, how they felt it was actually saving them money, even though it costs more. They did less plowing and stuff, or grading and stuff like that. So they were excited to hear that there might be a possibility that some of these dollars that we're getting for the one watershed plans could help pay for the upgrade to DuraBlend. But of course, with Hubbard County, we've got the Leech Lake, the upper Mississippi Headwaters, and the Crow Wing. So then there's the, where does the money come from to go to certain roads? And I was gonna talk with Andrea about this, just in case she knew anything about it. And like I say, I'm gonna try to keep going on this, because if it's something that can help out the county and help out the townships financially, because I see some of these watershed plans, now I know some of them are because they're just starting off and that, but they're having troubles, it seems like, to where to spend the money. And it's kind of like, if this is something, or an avenue where we could spend the money, helps out the county, helps out the townships, and it helps out the lakes and rivers. Seems like it would.
I've got a project in mind for growing.
Yes. And that's
That's
about all.
interesting, because when they were formed, they were supposed to have all of this planned out where they were gonna spend the money.
Oh.
So they're having trouble prioritizing once they get the money?
I don't think that, it's kind of getting caught up. Like I say, we had to get an extension for the 2022 funding, and we still had $17,000 left over, which isn't a lot, but it's kind of like, where do you put that? And then now, this grant we're working on now is over $1 million, and I think we're supposed to spend it by the end of this year, if I'm not mistaken. But we've only spent we spent about 300,000 of it. And now, so we're gonna ask for an extension, because we don't have the staff and stuff like that to do these projects, in a sense, to get this money spent, which maybe is a good thing. But yeah, so like I said, I'm hoping that DuraBlend stuff, if we can actually use some funding from there. I know they talked about street sweepers helping to reduce the sediment that goes into lakes and rivers, and that could be the cost of street sweeping, or the cost of a street sweeper might be something that could be paid for by the plans. Well, this is something I would think is similar if we're gonna stop calcium chloride, or any, the chloride they use in the winter is different, but it all is damaging to lakes and rivers. And that's all I have.
When Ted was talking, I actually Googled about when to file for townships, and it's all over the board in the state. They said to contact local. 2 points of interest, I just, from the legislative report, let's see, in 2020, the state's historical low for people uninsured was 3.8% in 2023, and it's now at 5.8% in 2025. That's the highest uninsured rate for individuals since 2017. 2 other things. Hennepin County Medical Center continues to face severe financial challenges tied to funding shortfalls and federal policy changes. They're asking legislatures for permission to repurpose a target field sales tax to support the hospital. I hadn't read that anywhere. And then the other thing, they're looking at possibly having a Melissa Hortman Park somewhere in the state.
That'd be nice. Yeah, the Hennepin County stuff, I wanna say they were like 200 million or something they needed.
Is your mom in Hennepin County?
Yep.
Yeah, so you keep up more with the news there than I do, okay.
So it's, but then I have a problem with them asking for taxpayer dollars. I mean, we all could use taxpayer dollars for our medical stuff. So I'd like to find out why there's the need.
Well, they take care of everybody is a problem. I mean, that place needs to exist,
Yeah,
no matter what.
probably a lot of walk-in emergency room stuff. And
I mean, they serve the whole state. So yeah, they gotta figure out how to fund it somehow. All right, anything else?
Motion to adjourn?
To adjourn.
Meetings,
Are there any meetings?
department head
Coming
meeting.
up?
Department head meeting.
Department manager meeting is on the
Yeah.
31st.
First, yeah.
Oh, it might be my turn.
Yeah, I was at the last one.
I was wondering, this would actually be a good month for me to do it.
Go ahead.
because SWCD would be on the 4th, but now we got a 5th Tuesday, which would be when this meeting would be.
Go for it.
So this would be a good time for me to do it.
Yeah. All right.
And then just a reminder, this Wednesday, this Wednesday, on the 18th, the League of Women Voters is is a redistricting war coming to Minnesota. So I signed up to be a part of that on Wednesday.
All right, anything else? Motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.